Hello, my name is Arthur Jones. My partner is Katie Sousa. This is the video supplement for our term project in computer graphics. For our project, we decided to make a 3D game using Unity. The name of our game is Coloration, and it is a 3D puzzle-based game in a similar vein to Portal and Antichamber, where we introduce some basic mechanics early on in the game and build upon those mechanics through the rest of the game until we eventually reach our destination at the end, which is conveniently right in front of us. Of course, we can't reach it right now, but we can see this trophy here, shifting colors that we have in our game, but it's blocked by this gate, or a barrier in front of us. This purple barrier, we can't seem to get through it. In fact, we can't seem to get much of anywhere. We've got a red barrier over here, blue barrier over here. There's some stuff in this room we can't access, but what we do have, we have a red cube with blue and purple inside of it, and a pedestal here. So we can interact with this cube by pressing E. We can pick it up, wave it around in the air, and we can move this pedestal, move the cube over the pedestal, and that will turn the room to red, the top layer of this cube. So this is the primary mechanic of our game. You put cubes on pedestals, it changes the color of the room, and you may notice when that happens, it removes that color from the room. So when I put it on the pedestal, you can see that the red disappears from the doorway, and you may also notice that over here in the room, the red actually disappears from that corner as well. So this is, as I said, the base mechanic of our game. You pick up cubes, you move them over pedestals to place them on the pedestal, and the top layer of that cube will become the color of the room, which is removed from the room, except for the colors on pedestals. Objects on pedestals are locked in, but everything else is going to get removed from the room. So we're going to move on into the second room here, or actually, real quick, we're going to stop and look at this cube, because this is a computer graphics class, and we did do some cool stuff with the visual effects on this cube. You will notice that the interior objects are actually rendered above the exterior objects. This is critical to our gameplay mechanics because, as you may have noticed, the color of an object is critical to being able to understand and solve the puzzles around you. So if, say, this purple cube in the middle was tinted by the red and blue cubes outside of it, it would be very difficult to tell that it's exactly purple. But thanks to our render queue effects, which we did manipulate on a shader level, and then change for other objects in the game to stay consistent and above this based on distance from the player. So there's a reasonable amount of sorting going on to make sure that this is working. This is, as I said, very important because it lets us see the inner layers of the cube without having any tinting by outer layers. We do actually, you will notice that we have the colors we need to get out of this room, but we can't seem to do anything with them. So we'll be back here. There's also a bunch of stuff over here. As I said before, this game exists in one world. There's only this one kind of level area. There's just a bunch of rooms to it. So we'll be back here. But for the time being, we're going to move on into this second room. So here we have a cube. We can drop it on this pedestal here. It's going to move the room to a yellow color. Now, as we know, that's going to remove all yellow from the room. Unfortunately, the barrier to the next room is green, and we don't have a green cube. Well, we do, but it's inside this yellow cube. So if we could somehow get rid of this yellow cube, we could make some difference. But we don't see any yellow. So maybe if we remove from the pedestal, the room will go back to its old color, and lo and behold, there is some yellow in the room that we might be able to use to remove that yellow. But it was removed by the yellow on that cube when it was on the pedestal. So here we can see that in action. We can drop this cube on the pedestal, and it'll remove yellow from the world. Again, the basic mechanic of our game. So we can also do this the other way. If we move this over here so we actually see it. If we drop this yellow cube on the pedestal, oops, then the yellow layer from the other cube will disappear, and we can actually get to this green layer. And if we drop the green layer on this pedestal here, it'll remove the green barrier from the door, so we can move through to the next room. And those are some of the basic mechanics. Those are the core mechanics to our game. You put the cubes on the pedestal, change the color of the room, and you can use that to kind of unnest other cubes, which you can use to move further into the game and remove barriers from doors. So here we're going to introduce a new mechanic called the gate. The gate is this particle field here. You notice there's a few of them in this room, well, they don't seem to be preventing much of anything until I grab a cube and try to move it through the gate. Well, you'll notice this cube doesn't really move through the gate very well. So that's not going to work. I can't move a red cube through an orange gate. However, you'll notice there's an orange cube here in the corner. If I grab this orange cube, I can move the orange cube through the orange gate. So we can deduce that gates prevent cubes that are different colors from passing through them. So now that we know how that works, we can look around the room. We can see here that the barrier to the next room is yellow. So we're going to look around and notice we do have a yellow cube over here nested inside this green cube. But we're not going to be able to do much to that. First of all, we can't get it to a pedestal. That's not working out too well because we got these orange gates in front of us. And second, even if we do, we know that we've got red and green on top of that, so it's not going to actually turn the room yellow. So what we can do is grab this orange cube and move it through a pedestal, or move it through a gate and place it on a pedestal. That'll turn the room orange, and of course, orange objects are then removed from the room. That includes gates. So we can move these cubes over here, get them past the gate, because I know what the solution is. We want them all past that gate. So, well, to be fair, there are actually several ways to solve this, but I prefer moving them over here. So now what we want to do is we want to drop, we can see very clearly how we want to get to this yellow cube. You want to use this red to unnest that green, use the green to unnest that green, and then hopefully get one of these reds here to unnest the red, and then drop the yellow on a pedestal, and that'll get us to the next room. So if we start trying to do that, we can see here, that'll unnest the green. Now we want to put the green on a pedestal. We can't get it over there because it's got the orange gates in between us. We try, it's going to get locked out on this gate here. So we're going to try to put it on this pedestal, but as soon as we take it off, the room goes back to orange. And this introduces one of the last very core mechanics to our game. Every room has a stack. It is quite literally a stack. Whenever you change the room to a new color, it adds that color to the stack. And the stack will actually hold objects out of certain objects out of existence. Gates are immune to the stack, so we're going to notice pretty soon that gates, they don't care much for the stack. They will only disappear if the room is currently that color. But everything else, the barriers and cubes, barriers as in the thing on the door, and cubes here, they will remain locked out of existence by layers that are held on the stack. So what we can do here is we put this red cube on, and now we're going to grab this orange cube, and we're going to put it back on that pedestal. And now the room is back orange. You'll notice now, if we take the red cube off, this green cube doesn't get its red layer back, because the red layer is still locked on the stack by the current orange layer. So we can do that to remove that green from this cube. Just to illustrate that again, we have our cube here. If we take green off the stack, normally the green layer comes back on the cube. But if we reset something on top of the stack, say move this room to orange again, we can then take the green layer off, and the green layer stays on the stack and stays out of existence. So we'll do that one more time real quick. Obviously we have the yellow cube now, but we can't put it on pedestal because pedestal's in use, so we're going to lock that down again. And then drop yellow on this here pedestal. The room's going to become yellow, and we're going to be able to get through the door and move into room number 4. So now we're in room number 4. We can see something sort of new in this room. We have a double gate. It is both cyan and orange, and what that means is it's essentially just two gates in the same place. So I can't move anything through this gate right now, actually, because even if I can move through the cyan gate, it's going to get blocked by the orange gate. You can see here this cyan cube. I can't do much with that. And there's an orange cube underneath this, but that's pink, so we're not going to do much with that regardless, because it's locked by pink. That isn't either color. But maybe if we can remove one of these gates, we can move the other color through what's left. So here we can see a pink gate and a blue gate, and then we need yellow to get to the next room. And let's take a minute to make sure we know what's going on here, because we need yellow to get to the next room, and we look around and don't actually see much yellow. But wait, we have yellow, right? If we move back into this room, we have a yellow cube. And this is something very important to understand about our game. You can take something from one room to the next, but unfortunately, there's a cyan gate blocking it, so I'm not going to be able to move this yellow cube into the next room unless I can do something about this cyan gate. So maybe if I can move this cyan block into the previous room, I can get rid of the cyan gate and move the yellow block into this room to move on. So now I've structured a solution to this puzzle, and I need to implement it. So I can get the cyan gate out of here if I remove the orange gate. In order to remove the orange gate, I need to remove this pink layer from the orange cube. So I can get another pink over here. So you'll notice that normally, just to illustrate this real quick, I cannot move this through this barrier because it's not, the outer layer is not pink and the barrier, or excuse me, the skate is pink. If I place the green on the cube, no, the green cube on the pedestal, it removes this green layer from the outside of this pink cube. I can then move it through the pink gate. So now I want to get this orange cube exposed. So if I remove green from this pedestal, oh wait, I can't put pink on because the green layer comes back. So what if I lock the green layer down? It'll keep this pink exposed, so I can drop pink on there. I can then swap orange onto this pedestal, which will remove the orange gate, as you can see, and that'll let me move the cyan cube through the gate and out here. So if I then take this off and put it back on, the room will become pink. It'll remove the pink gate and let me move cyan into the previous room. And in fact, everything still works fine. So I do know if I take this off, the barrier will reappear over the door. So I'm going to run over here and lock that layer on the stack again, as we've done a few times in the past. Then I'm going to take this yellow cube off, put the cyan cube on. I'm going to remove the cyan gate, and I'm going to move the yellow cube into this room. And you can see it's very possible to move objects between rooms and use them in separate rooms puzzles. In fact, there are alternate solutions to several puzzles in this game, including an alternate solution to the entire game that doesn't involve this room at all. And that is very intentional. That was a design decision that we went into the game. We wanted our mechanics to be that strong. I'm not going to outline that solution, but feel free to play the game and experiment and see if you can figure it out yourself. So here you'll notice I'm back in the first room, and it's still red because I've got that cube, the red cube, on that pedestal. So we're about at the end of the game now, but so yeah, we can see we're back in the first room. And to say quick inventory, we've got a orange-green cube locked in by a green gate, and then we've got this nice cube here, and then we actually have a cube hidden up in the ceiling there, blocked by a pink barrier. So if we can get pink, if we can get a pink cube, we can get this cube down here and open that open this blue barrier, which will let us get back to the beginning of the game. And then maybe we can get through that door with access to this side of the room. Now we know how to unnest that cube now, so maybe we can get on it. But in order to get pink, looks like we're going to need this. We can't get it from the previous room because of that blue gate. So we're not going to be able to bring pink in here because we don't have any blue to get it through that gate. So we need to get this blue. We need to get this blue thing down. So what we can do is we can move. We know that we can get this cube out of here if it's green. So we'll remove the top layer of that cube, the orange layer on top of it, to make it green. We can then move the green through the gate and then set the room back to red by taking this off. And now we have this cube out from behind that corner. So we can then swap it on here and we can get to pink, but not quite. We almost have the pink cube, but we got this yellow cube on top of it, and there's not a whole lot we can do because we don't have a yellow cube in this room, but maybe in the last room. I can't bring a cube from the last room in here, but I can bring this cube into the previous room. So if I drop that down and then swap this yellow cube off and on to make sure it removes all yellow from the room, you'll notice, because the color gets removed when you place it on the pedestal, you'll notice that, hey, look, it unwrapped the yellow layer from this pink cube. So I now have a pink cube, which I can put on this pedestal, and that'll drop this blue cube down from the ceiling. And I can now use this blue cube to get back to the beginning of the game. But we have a problem. I can't get quite in there because this cube is still red. But you may remember way back in the beginning of the game that there was a red cube on this little island here. So I actually can't get over there right now. Thankfully there's a little ramp to get out of this pit, but I can't even get over there. But there was a red cube over there. So we're going to look at this and we're going to say, okay, let us perhaps, what if we completely reset this room? So we're going to make sure we have access to this blue cube because we don't want to have to run all the way around the level. And we're going to drop this down here. And then, or actually, no, we're going to leave that over here. I'm just going to put it on. We're going to remove this from the pedestal. And as I said before, there are actually a few different ways to go about solving things, especially at this point in the game. And now I'm going to remove this blue from the pedestal and completely reset the room back to its original form. And notice this blue is going to reappear, the red is going to reappear over the doorway, and the red is going to actually reappear in this corner. So I'm going to grab this cube, use this little bridge that showed up. I could use that to remove the red layer from that cube. Of course, I can't get to that cube right now, so let me drop this on here and use one of these cubes to hold the blue layer open, and then I can use this red cube here to remove the red layer from my starting cube. And now I'm going to lock that red layer on the stack. I'm going to then use this blue cube to remove the blue layer from my starting cube, which I can then place on this pedestal and open the final barrier, which lets me move through and reach the end of the game. So once again, my name is Arthur Jones, and my partner is Katie Sousa. This was the video supplement for our term project in computer graphics, Coloration. As I said, very intentionally, there are alternate solutions to many of the puzzles, including an alternate solution to the entire game. Feel free to play the game and try and figure out what that solution is now that you're very familiar with all the different mechanics of our game. You'll need to know exactly how everything works and use multiple rooms and swapping things in and out to your advantage right from well, not right from the very beginning, but right from pretty quick into the game if you're going to figure out how to bypass the fourth room entirely. But that'll be all for our video supplement, and I hope you enjoyed this video and have fun playing your game.